As the saying goes, if it looks too good to be true, then it probably is. And in most cases, yeah, that's true. Especially when it comes to the advertising industry. I'm Mike with List25, and you're not going to believe the kinds of tricks that are used to persuade you to part with your money. Let's start with a brand new technology that's already being used in advertising, and not in a good way. Still in its infancy, AI has quickly become a useful tool for many people, and the ad industry is no exception. For instance, there's a company in Glasgow who used AI to create a poster for their latest venture in 2023, an interactive experience based on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. When parents saw the elaborate ad, they snapped up tickets for the magical-looking day. Upon arrival, they realized it was anything but, as they walked into a huge warehouse with the most bizarre version of the famous chocolate factory you've ever seen. The whole thing went viral, especially in the UK, after hundreds of parents demanded their money back. Before AI, there were other ways of tricking the consumer to make them snap up a product. Ever looked at the food on the packaging it comes in and thought, well, that looks too good to eat? Well, it turns out it probably is. For decades, food has been manipulated for advertising, making it look more appealing than it actually is. Instead of whipped cream, they use shaving foam. Instead of syrup, engine oil. And the list goes on. In many cases, it is just more practical, like using mashed potatoes instead of ice cream so it doesn't melt under the lighting, but it's usually just a neat trick to make food look irresistible to the consumer. You might see those same food items on sale, but even then, it might not be the bargain you'd expect. There was a time when sales were limited to special holidays, or the start of a new season. But today, they're everywhere, constantly tempting us to snap up the latest deal before it's too late. Phrases like limited offer, 50% offer, cheapest price anywhere have become a daily sight while shopping. But the reality is, you'll rarely ever get a discount. Often, the original price is marked up and was never intended to be sold at that price in the first place. The consumer buys the product on sale thinking they've come out on top, as the same product will be a lot more expensive the next week. Of course, the only person who really comes out on top, well, are the advertisers. But it's not always necessary to pay for a product up front, or at least that's what they want you to think with this next sneaky trick. Everybody loves something for free. So what could be better than a free trial of a product with a choice to pay nothing if you don't like it? While some free trials are legit, many have hidden charges, impossibly difficult cancellation processes, and terms and conditions that are a little unclear. You also have to surrender your credit card details, and companies have been known to make mistakes and take payments anyway, even after the cancellation was requested, leaving the customer to fight the long and stressful attempt at getting a refund. But to get people to sign up for these free trials, advertisers have to get the customer's attention first. What better way to sell your product than to give it to a social media influencer and get them to recommend it to all their followers? Welcome to the world of influencer marketing. It's a business that's constantly evolving, and the advertisers have to keep up at every step. Placing their products in the hands of a popular influencer is a surefire way to gain attention of their followers, especially when it comes with a personal recommendation. Influencers can come with a lot of pull, and many companies have seen huge increases in sales after an endorsement by an influencing giant of social media. But there are much more subtle ways to get a product over to the consumer, and you have probably fallen for this trick yourself many times. Ever found yourself humming a particular tune only to realize you're humming an advertising jingle? Well, you're not alone. Honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've sung the Avocados from Mexico song. The commercial advertising industry has a secret, but simple trick that causes this: repetition. They say you need to hear something 7 times before you take action. So by repeating the same jingle or message or slogan, advertisers can build familiarity and trust. That could be an ad from TV or streaming, or constant advertising by a social media influencer. The technique is tricky to master, and getting it wrong could have the opposite effect and annoy consumers rather than attract them. Head on, goes right in the forehead. But in the right hands is incredibly effective. Another trick that can backfire is next, and actually works in your favor. Occasionally a product will be put on offer at less than it cost, and whoever sold it will take a loss. Or at least that's what they want you to think. It's called loss leader pricing, and it's a gamble that tricks you into spending more. Businesses hope that you add more items to your cart after you discovered a bargain, and those items can make up for the loss of profits. After all, you save 50%, so you might as well spend the savings on something else that grabs your attention, right? Speaking of grabbing your attention, advertisers have a way of doing it without you even realizing it. If you've ever seen a product and felt a sense of familiarity, it might be that you've seen that product before and not even noticed. The practice of subliminal advertising is a slightly shady practice, but one that has proven very effective. It involves inserting hidden or subtle messages that your brain sees or hears, but you don't. And it's so controversial, it's been banned in many countries. It started in 1957 when a market researcher by the name of James Vickery tried the technique for the first time. He flashed the words Coca-Cola and eat popcorn on the screen for only a fraction of a second, and the audience later snapped up both products, leading to an increase in sales. The trick has been used by major companies since and caused widespread concern about the potential influence it could have on the consumer. And then there's The Simpsons and the Navy with Superliminal. Hey you, join the Navy. Okay. Sorry, great episode. Even at Niage. With subliminal messages pretty much out of the question, advertisers would have to find another way to influence your shopping cart, like appealing to your better nature. There's nothing like capitalizing on the consumer's demand for environmentally friendly products to really boost your sales. And it's an ethically challenging tactic that's more widespread than you can imagine. A major coffee company was outed for their claims that the coffee pods they sold were recyclable, which they are, but they didn't tell you it took a specialist recycling center, and you couldn't just dump it in your regular recycling bin. Other scandals have emerged over the years, so just make sure that environmentally friendly products actually do what they say on the label. That label might come at a higher price if you're buying a more expensive item, but that doesn't always mean you get higher quality. The fact is, consumers will pay a lot of money for something that comes with a highly desired label attached, even if the product is no better quality than something at a fraction of the price. Blinded by the brand, it's easy to forget that many expensive items are actually made very cheaply and sold at skyrocketing profits. It's usually the workers who make these products that suffer, as they're paid low wages in countries with dubious safety and human rights records, leading to more than one media controversy in recent years. Those same big brands can often use clever ways to get their product in your hand in the first place, hoping they can influence your next purchase. A fancy jingle, a striking logo, a catchy slogan. They're a tool in the ad industry that's more important than you realize. It lets you recognize a brand from a simple song without the brand name even being mentioned, and the same goes for well-known brand logos, many which you'll recognize without any mention of the brand name itself. This gives the customer a sense of familiarity, security, and trust, making them more likely to spend their money with you. Don't believe me? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Didn't even mention the name. You know what it is. And if that doesn't work, brands have a more direct way of infiltrating their product into people's daily lives. This is a much less discreet way of selling products, but one that can generate a lot of sales. After all, if a brand is good enough for your favorite fictional character, well, then it's surely good enough for you. Because it's usually well-established brands who use product placement, the brand is already recognizable, so it's easy to spot even if it's only on screen for a brief moment. But there are other ways of making you purchase something you didn't realize you needed, and it costs the advertising companies nothing. We as human beings have a natural desire to fit in. So if everyone around you is buying the same product, then you almost feel like you need it yourself. It's a simple yet effective way of advertising for free, and it only takes the word of a friend or neighbor to persuade you to part with your money, even if it's something you may have never bought in the first place. Stanley Cup, that's hockey. Stanley mugs, anyone? I'd buy the Stanley Cup. Next, a trick advertisers use that's so subtle, you won't even know you've fallen for it. Believe it or not, the direction a model is looking can directly influence how you respond to the brand they're advertising. For instance, if a model is looking directly at the camera, it can build trust in the product they're looking at, making it feel a little more personal. This is used to sell functional items such as cleaning products or appliances. If the model is looking away from the camera, then it immerses you in the advertisement itself. So this is usually used for products that are more of an experience, like restaurants or hotels. It's another trick you won't really notice, but it'll influence you anyway. Another more obvious marketing method is next on today's list, as I take a look at a trick that's been around since the early days of ads. Before and after images are a trick often used by weight loss and cleaning companies, and are a great way to show just how effective your product is. But just like everything else on this list, it's not always as it seems. That weight loss product might only have played a small part in the model's success, but the ad will claim it's some kind of miracle potion. That cleaning product might look like it leaves sparkling, shining surfaces, but it could just be a trick of the light. You could say it's a case of dirty tricks. There are ways of selling products, no matter how good they are. You just need the right person to sell it for you. Long before the rise of social media influencers, celebrities were the people to go to sell your product to the masses. A celebrity endorsement packs a lot of punch and can attract a lot of positive attention. People feel a sense of trust towards the celebrities they admire, and ad companies are all too happy to take advantage of that. With the right celebrity, this trick can send a product's popularity through the roof. But not all celebrity endorsements are so willing, and can actually have embarrassing consequences. It's not often a movie star will hit it big in their first role, which means they've often had years of acting gigs in their build-up to fame. Often these movies come back to haunt them, as they're re-released and with the purpose of cashing in on the celebrity's A-list status. The celeb in question is placed front and center on the movie poster, even if their role was only a brief cameo. It's fooled many of us into watching movies that aren't really good at all. Even kids aren't safe from ad companies' devious ways, and it's the parents who pay the price. The golden age of Saturday morning cartoons was a great time to be a kid, but when you look back at it, you realize it was just 3 hours of advertisements. Back then, many cartoons were made for one specific purpose: to sell toys. It became a huge business in the 80s, and also created some of the greatest animated characters to ever appear on screen. And in some cases, the cartoons were more popular than the toys they were created to endorse. Back to another sneaky technique used to make us believe a product is more popular than it might actually be. Always be wary of anything that uses phrases like 8 out of 10 people who tried this product would use it again, as you never really know who was surveyed, nor the conditions they were tested in. Cosmetic and toothpaste companies have been known to use this trick in order to offer some reassurance to the customer and give them a sense of trust. But let's face it, how often do those products actually work as good as we're told? Even the breakfast table isn't safe from the grasp of greedy advertisers, and they've changed the way we eat altogether. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That famous phrase didn't come from a doctor, a nutritionist, or any kind of expert on healthy eating. It was created as a marketing gimmick to sell one of the unhealthiest breakfasts of all. To boost sales of his new invention of cereal, John Harvey Kellogg created the tagline to help sell it. And it worked a little too well. In fact, that one slogan has changed the way we eat and made sugar-infused carbohydrates a staple of breakfast tables around the world. Connecting with an audience doesn't always take a fancy slogan. Sometimes it just means doing things differently. If you want to make the audience really feel a part of your product, then there's no better way than showing them life behind the scenes. It can help an audience appreciate the effort that's gone into an ad and reassure them the same kind of love has gone into the product. And then if you couple a behind-the-scenes ad with a celebrity endorsement, well, then you're really onto a winner. If you can't connect with the audience, then simply bend the truth to your advantage. Contrary to popular belief, low fat doesn't always mean it's healthy. But everywhere you look in the supermarkets, you see that low fat label. Apart from the fact that some fats are good for you, the ingredients that replace the fat are often full of sugar or other ingredients that really aren't all that good for your body. Not all products can sell their health benefits, so they entice customers with some extra incentives. As unbelievable as it'll seem, this actually happened. In 1996, one of the most famous soda companies in the world offered the most insane competition prize ever seen. Consumers would get points with every purchase, and those points would build up to earn bigger and better rewards. The top prize was a Harrier jump jet, valued at around $33 million. The task seemed impossible, with 7 million points needed to win the jet. But one young man didn't let this stop him, and managed to start a campaign that generated the 7 million points he needed. The soda company refused to pay out, and a long legal battle took place, in which the soda company kinda won, as the court agreed that the prize was only meant as a joke. I'm gonna keep it simple next, and it's all about the image. The color a brand chooses can have an impact on the way the viewer perceives it. Choosing the right color can evoke feelings of recognition or trust, and help connect the consumer to a product they may never have tried at all. It seems so subtle it wouldn't work, but it really does, and it's big business. Brands will use red to give the viewer a sense of energy and passion, blue to convey trust or security, green for health or nature, as well as various other colors, depending on, well, what they want the consumer to feel. So next time you find yourself eyeing that luxury brand, try and see if they're using purple. Now, I've saved the best for last, or I guess rather worst, until last, with an unbelievable marketing campaign that caused a lot of damage to people's health. It's incredible to imagine this kind of marketing campaign ever existing. But in the 20s, it was a popular choice by cigarette companies to tell people that cigarettes are good for you. Obviously, smoking is bad, but back then, you'd find a packet of 20 came with an endorsement from, of all people, a doctor. Tobacco companies knew they had to keep the public calm about the dangers of smoking, so they enlisted doctors and experts who all told us smoking a particular brand was better than smoking another one. Madness. Well, we got through another list, so give yourself a pat on the back. To wrap us up, here's a question about today's list. Which famous fictional chocolatier appeared on this list today? Was it A, John Harvey Kellogg, B, Willy Wonka, or C, Arthur Slugworth? Think you know the answer? Let me know in the comments section. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're always on top of the latest lists. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.